Welcome to the Guri Show, your go-to podcast for retreat leaders, coaches, and transformation seekers who are ready to create thriving businesses while embracing self-healing, wellness, and personal growth. Hosted by Guri Kaur, yeah, that is me. This show is your space to learn how to design life-changing retreats, confidently sell your offers, and master the mindset shifts needed to create abundance and impact. Each episode dives deep into actionable strategies, personal insights, and soulful practices that combine business growth with inner transformation. From self-healing techniques and wellness rituals to powerful tools for scaling your coaching programs, we'll help you align your purpose, your profits, and your peace. Whether you are building your first retreat or scaling to six figures and beyond, the Guri Show is your space to dream big, transform yourself, and empower others to do the same. Tune in, grow your business, heal your soul, and create the legacy you're destined for. Let's thrive together. Hello, and welcome back to the Guri Show Podcast. I am Guri, and today we are diving into a topic that just might shift the way you approach your dreams and desires: vulnerability and manifestation. Yes, we are talking about vulnerability and manifestation. Now, we all know about manifestation, right? We've all heard the phrase manifest your dreams or call in what you desire. It's exciting, empowering, and maybe even a little mystical. But here's the thing most people don't talk about. There is one crucial element in this process that often gets overlooked, and that's vulnerability. Vulnerability is the raw, messy, and uncomfortable truth about what it takes to manifest the life you want. Manifestation isn't just about visualizing, however you say it, what you want and waiting for it to arrive. It's about being open to the unknown, showing up authentically, and allowing yourself to be seen, to be all your fears, failures, and everything to be seen. So today, we're going to explore how vulnerability plays a vital role in manifesting your dreams, and I'll be sharing some practical steps you can take to harness vulnerability as a strength in your manifestation journey. So stay tuned, stay with me till the end. Okay, so this is our segment 1, and we're talking about what is manifestation. Now, before we dive into how vulnerability connects to manifestation, let's first break down what manifestation really is. And at its core, manifestation is the process of turning a desire into reality. It's about aligning your thoughts, actions, and beliefs to bring something you deeply want into your life. But here's the thing. Manifestation isn't just about sitting around daydreaming about what you want or endlessly repeating affirmations without taking any inspired action. It's not magic. Though it has all the properties of magic, but it's a combination of intention, energy, and yes, vulnerability as well. Here's a great quote that speaks to this. Manifestation is about making the invisible visible, but that process requires you to be fully seen. Let that sink in for a second, my people, my listeners. To manifest what you truly desire, you have to be willing to let yourself be seen fully and authentically. And that's where vulnerability comes in. So manifestation isn't just about knowing what you want. It's about being brave enough to show up for it, even when you don't have all the answers or guarantees. When you hold back parts of yourself, your fears, your insecurities, your true desires, you're actually blocking the energy that needs to flow to bring your dreams to life. Vulnerability then is the bridge between what you desire and the actions you need to take to make those desires real. With that being said, we move to the next segment, which is vulnerability as the bridge between desire and action. Let's go deeper into this idea of vulnerability being the bridge between desire and action. When we think about manifesting something big in our lives, whether it's a thriving coaching business, a successful and profitable retreat, a loving relationship, or even a sense of inner peace, it's easy to focus on the end result. But what often gets missed is the process that happens in between. Manifestation isn't a straight line, right? It's a journey filled with uncertainty, risks, and often failures. Vulnerability is what allows you to show up during that journey. Even when you don't have all the answers or when things get tough. Let me share a personal example with you. Okay, so this happened, when I was hosting my retreat, my emotional wellness retreat in Bali back in July 2024. And just before, like few days before the retreat, one of my tooth, came out and it just fell somewhere, And I was like, okay, what do I do? Well, I didn't have the time to go to a dentist and get the new tooth up and ready. And honestly, I have dentist anxiety. I don't at this point, I have worked on it because the number of times I've gone to the dentist is crazy. So at this point, I've worked on it. But back in July, when I was experiencing this weird thing, I wasn't ready. And it just happened, like just a few days before the retreat was to commence. And I was like, listen, can you change anything right now? No. Is a fallen tooth a natural process for a human being? I'm like, yes. So can I show up with this? Can I show up with the fact that this is real for me, this is me, as opposed to thinking how someone is going to judge me and what someone is going to do and, say or, maybe react. And I was like, I'm not going to care about people because I'm showing up for my people. I'm showing up for myself and for my participants. And that was the moment when I was like, I am going all in. I am going irrespective of what's happening to my tooth and irrespective of the way I look. So, getting back to where we were, let's be real. Vulnerability is scary. It means exposing yourself to the possibility of failure, to the possibility of rejection and disappointment. But let me tell you something, it's also the key to moving forward. So when you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you open yourself up to opportunities, to growth, and to the very thing you've been trying to call in, to the experience. And seriously, when my tooth thing happened, and I was like, this is an opportunity for me to show my people that, this is how you accept life, this is how you accept yourself. So my message actually fell in line with what I was trying to do, what was happening with me, and how I was showing up, and what I was trying to do during that retreat. And let me tell you one thing at this point. Vulnerability doesn't mean, it doesn't show up in the big moments. It also shows up in the small everyday steps you take towards your dreams. It's in those small moments, small decisions every single day that you take to accept yourself, to be vulnerable with yourself, to be vulnerable with your audience, with your people, with everyone around you. And then you accept your fears and and everything about you. And you move forward with that. And let me tell you one thing, Universe is always listening. Universe can read your vibe. Universe understands that you're ready for the big jump because now you're ready to accept yourself. You're ready to be vulnerable. Okay? So, every time you share your dream with someone, every time you take a risk, every time you admit that you don't have all the answers, but you're willing to try anyway, that's vulnerability in action. And that's the energy that powers manifestation. That you're willing to go up on social media and post about your retreat, even though you don't know whether someone's going to join or not. That you're going to go and do that live, even though you know that you could be just talking to crickets, and you still choose to go and show up. If that makes sense. And let me tell you, that's the energy, like I said, that powers manifestation. Sounds good? Awesome. So think of it like planting a seed. You can't keep the seed safely hidden away and expect it to grow. You have to plant it in the ground, expose it to the elements, sun, rain, wind, and trust. And trust that it will take root and flourish. In the same way, vulnerability exposes your dreams to the world, giving them the space they need to grow. With that being said, we move to the next segment, which is the fear of vulnerability and its impact on manifestation. I hope you're enjoying. Keep listening till the end. Keep watching if you're watching it on YouTube. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? If any thoughts, any something is coming up on the surface, feel free to share it in the comments. Okay? Let's do that. Let's make it amazing. Let's make it a contribution. Let's do it together. Great. So here's the thing about vulnerability. It's uncomfortable. There's a reason most of us avoid it. Being vulnerable means opening yourself up to the possibility of rejection, failure, and judgment. And let's be honest, none of those things feel good. None of those things. But if you're avoiding vulnerability, you're also avoiding the very thing that brings your dreams closer to reality. Think about it. How many times have you held back from fully going after something because you were afraid? Maybe you didn't want to get your hopes up because deep down you were scared it wouldn't work out. Or perhaps you stayed quiet about your dreams, fearing people would judge you or think you were crazy for dreaming so big. I know that feeling. Trust me. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, especially when I started my entrepreneurial journey, I can't tell you how many times I hesitated to put my offer out because I was like, I'm not ready yet. I'm not enough yet. Look at all those amazing people who are crushing it on internet. Look at them. They're doing so good. Every time I used to feel like I'm not good enough. I have to do so much before I can even ask something like, before even I can even share my story, before I can even share my struggle. Can you believe? I used to discount my struggles. I struggled a lot. Back in 2017, I left my job without a plan B. And then all of a sudden in 2020, I was in $30,000 debt. And then when I thought that I'm coming back, I worked and I paid back my bills and my debt. And I was like, okay, I'm coming back. Things are changing. All of a sudden, my Facebook account got hacked. and everything just vanished, and it just all came crushing down, and I had to like start everything from scratch. And even then, I felt like, who am I to be sharing this story on the internet? Who am I to be sharing this with my people? Can you believe? And it took so much courage, but I was still afraid that this is not enough. You know, people who are successful go through so much more. But I realized sooner or later, however you want to put it, I realized that every story matters. It needs to be told. You know, and we're living in this on this planet Earth, and in this physical body, and we are all worthy of it. We're all enough. I am enough. You're enough. And that we have just by being born here, we have the right to be, and we have the right to have. And I don't know if you listened to my other episode on chakra system and manifestation. And there I talk about that when you hold back, you're either violating or denying yourself the right to be seen or to be heard and to speak or to feel. You know, you might be denying yourself any of those rights, your basic rights. And so I was doing that. Okay. All right. So I just get distracted, when I'm talking about the life and all my journey. Okay, so where were we? I was talking about, when you're showing up, fear that people would judge you, and that every aspect of that feeling, the disappointment, the judgment, the rejection, it's normal. And I know that feeling. That's where I was, right? So this fear is completely normal. It's part of being human. But here's the problem. If you keep yourself from being vulnerable, you're also holding back the energy needed to manifest your desires. It's like putting a wall around your dreams and then wondering why nothing is happening. Okay? I want to talk a little bit about common limiting beliefs about vulnerability and manifestation. And these beliefs often keep us from embracing vulnerability in the manifestation process. The number one is that I want to discuss today. The number one is I don't want to get my hopes up. Now, we often avoid vulnerability because we think it will protect us from disappointment. If we don't fully invest emotionally, it won't hurt as much if things don't work out, right? How funny is that? But the truth is, but let me tell you, I'm laughing at this point, but there was a time when, I used to completely believe in that BS. So I hear you and I feel you. I'm with you. So the truth is, when you play small to avoid disappointment, you're also shrinking the possibility of success. Okay? Listen to that again. When you play small to avoid disappointment, you're also shrinking the possibility of success. Wow, let that sink in, you guys. Moving to the second one. If I fail, it will hurt too much. Failure is the big one. The fear of failing in front of others, or even just in front of ourselves, can be paralyzing. But here's the different way of looking at it. What if failure was just feedback? What if every time you failed, you were simply learning how to align more closely with your true desires? People will judge me for dreaming this big. That's the third one. People will judge me for dreaming this big. The fear of judgment is real. I get it, especially when you have big dreams. But here's what I want you to remember. People's judgments are more about them than they are about you. The real question is, Will you let someone else's limiting beliefs stop you from living the life you are meant to live? Let me ask you again. Will you let someone else's limiting beliefs stop you from living the life you are meant to live? When you let these beliefs dictate your actions, you're not only playing it safe, you're actively limiting what you can manifest. Vulnerability requires that you let go of the need for control, the need for approval, and the fear of failure. It asks you to show up fully, even when the outcome is uncertain. That being said, we move to the next segment of this podcast, which is vulnerability and authenticity, manifesting what you truly want. Okay, so let's talk about why vulnerability is so powerful when it comes to manifesting what you truly want. At its core, vulnerability leads to authenticity. And authenticity, my friend, is key because it ensures you're manifesting what is aligned with your true self, not what you think you should want. Let me repeat that for you. Vulnerability leads to authenticity, and authenticity is key because it ensures you are manifesting what is aligned with your true self, not what you think you should want. So when we're afraid to be vulnerable, we often end up pursuing goals that aren't really ours. Maybe it's the pressure to succeed in a certain way, or maybe it's chasing a big dream that doesn't actually fulfill us, but looks good on the outside. Without vulnerability, it's easy to get lost in what society, friends, or family expect from us. And this is exactly where vulnerability comes in. When you embrace vulnerability, you strip away those expectations. You're no longer afraid to ask yourself, what do I truly want? Vulnerability helps you get honest about your desires, even if they don't fit into someone else's version of success. If that makes sense. Let me share a personal example. I don't know how many of you know, but I was an economics teacher prior to entering this digital space in November 2017. However, in March 2017, I decided that I no longer want to be an economics teacher. I left everything. I left my job. I called it quits without a plan B. There was no plan B because there was nothing else that I knew how to do. Growing up, I was learning how to fit into the society. I was kind of, getting those dreams and goals from the society that I should be doing this, I should be doing that I should learn economics because economics is such a great subject. I did economics honors in my graduation, and then I wanted to do masters in economics, and I did that. And then I passed this national level exam, and then I passed the entry level exam for PhD from a state level university. Everything was going well in my life. I was clearing all the exams because that's what I was programmed to do. And I was succeeding at it. Everybody was so happy. Then all of a sudden, I left it all. All of a sudden, I left my job that was so safe for me. A job that I have been preparing for so long. Because I realized that this goal is not my goal. It's a goal, desire that I've been given by the society, my family, my friends, everybody around me, to me. And the way I realized it, because I know a lot of people struggle with understanding whether the goal is theirs or someone else's, is when I realized that I didn't want to do much in that space. I was like I was what's the word? I became complacent. I was settling. But at the same time, I was not happy. I was not enjoying it. I was kind of trapping. I was kind of like making myself believe that it's good. It's teaching job. You love teaching. You're contributing in the career, in the success of these beautiful minds. That's the story that I was telling myself, to keep myself trapped into believing that I have arrived. This is me. But then things happened, things shifted in 2017. I was like, that's it. I can't do it anymore. I'm done. This is not me. And I left it all. Well, after that, it's not like things just changed for me, like overnight. I had to put in the work. I'm still working on it. It's been 7 years since then. I just completed 7 years in November in the digital space, and I'm still learning, I'm still working, I'm still falling, I'm still getting up, I'm still doing all that it takes. And whatever I can do, I'm still going from alignment to misalignment, and then coming back from a misalignment to alignment, and I'm searching my soul, and I'm doing everything. I'm helping my clients, whatnot. But at the end of the day, I know that this is what my soul wants to do. This is what I want to pursue. If that makes sense. Awesome. Okay. And this makes me feel authentic. When you align with your authentic desires, you unlock the full power of manifestation. Why? Because manifestation requires a deep connection between what you want and who you are. So if you're hiding parts of yourself or chasing goals that aren't in your alignment with your true self, the energy you're sending out into the world is fragmented. Vulnerability helps you clear out that misalignment. So let's get practical here for a moment. How can you bring more vulnerability into your manifestation practice to ensure you're manifesting what you truly want? Here's an exercise you can try, okay? Take out a journal. You can pause this episode right here and take out a journal and then continue from this point on. Take out a journal and ask yourself the following questions. What is it that I truly desire, and why do I want it? The second question is, am I pursuing this goal because it's what I truly want, or because I think I should want it? Where am I holding back? What part of me am I afraid to show in this process? This kind of deep reflection can uncover hidden fears, expectations, or desires that you may not have been fully conscious of before. And that's where the magic happens. When you're brave enough to face these truths and adjust your course accordingly. So, once you're clear about what you truly want, the next step is to show up authentically in pursuit of that desire. That's where vulnerability is key. Every time you take a step toward your dreams, you're risking something. Failure, rejection, or judgment. But when you take those risks from a place of authenticity, you're aligning yourself with the energy of your true desires, and that's where manifestation becomes powerful. I know, I've said it like 100 times just in this episode, but repetition is the key as well. Okay, next segment. All right. All right, that brings us to the next segment, which is practical ways, some exercises to embrace vulnerability in your manifestation process. Okay, so now that we have explored the connection between vulnerability and manifestation, you're manifesting your true desires, let's get practical. How do you actually embrace vulnerability in a way that strengthens your manifestation practice? Again, it doesn't have to be this big, scary leap. In fact, it can be woven very easily into your daily actions, creating space for your dreams to come to life. Okay? So here are some practical steps you can start using today. You can open your journal, Google Doc, or get your pen and paper ready. Pause this episode and listen to what I'm about to say very carefully. Awesome. Number 1, admit what you really want. Admitting what you truly want is an act of vulnerability, to be honest. It sounds simple, right? But for many of us, admitting our deepest desires, even to ourselves, can feel terrifying. What if it doesn't happen? What if you fail? What if people think you're ridiculous for even dreaming this big? All these questions, all this inner chat just comes creeping in. But here's the thing. If you don't acknowledge your real desires, how can you even expect to manifest them? Vulnerability begins with honesty. Okay, so take a moment to write down what you truly want in your life without judgment, without downplaying it. Let yourself dream big and bold. And once it's on paper, it becomes real. Okay? There is a quote from Marianne Williamson, and that captures this perfectly. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frighten us. Wow. Amazing. So, my friend, ask yourself, what are you holding back from manifesting because you're afraid of your own power? What are you holding back from manifesting because you're afraid of what's wrong? Let me say that again. Let me think of it again. What are you holding back from manifesting because you're afraid of your own power? Wow. That just blows my mind every time, actually, because I know that my biggest desires and dreams just come writing on the paper the moment I think about this question. And so I'm like, wow, I can't believe I can even think of something like that. Anyway, write it down and start by simply acknowledging it. Step number 2, speak your dreams out loud. Next, share your dreams with someone you trust. This is where vulnerability really comes into play. Now, this can be different for different people. For me, this works. Just share your dreams with someone you absolutely trust. Speaking your dreams out loud, whether it's to a friend, a mentor, or even in a voice note to yourself, makes them more real. It puts your desires into the universe in a very extremely powerful way. So when you share your dreams, you're taking the first vulnerable step towards making them happen. And yes, it can be scary to voice them because it makes them feel more risky. But the moment you do, you're opening up the possibility of support, encouragement, and even unexpected opportunities. Okay, and here is an actionable tip for you. Choose one person this week and tell them one of your biggest dreams and notice how that feels. Is it uncomfortable? Does it feel exciting, empowering? Just label an emotion. Try to label an emotion. Okay? Find what it is. And really, vulnerability is about stepping into that discomfort and moving through it. Step number 3, release control of the outcome. This is a big one. Manifestation requires a balance between setting intentions and letting go of the outcome. Vulnerability, therefore, is all about releasing control. You can't manifest if you're gripping tightly to a specific outcome or trying to micromanage how things unfold. So imagine you're trying to hold water in your hands. If you hold your palms too tightly, the water slips right through. But if you open them, creating space, the water stays. Yeah, I love this. Whenever I share it, it just kind of like I see the visual, I feel it, and it's so amazing. So the same goes for manifestation, my lovely, lovely listeners. Vulnerability means allowing things to flow, trusting that the universe will bring what's meant for you in the divine time and the right way. And here's an affirmation for you. So when you're feeling anxious or trying to control too much, remind yourself, I trust that everything is unfolding in perfect timing for my highest good. I trust that everything is unfolding in perfect timing for my highest good. Now, I want you to use this as a daily affirmation to help you release control and embrace vulnerability in the process. Step number 4, embrace setbacks as part of the process. Let's be real. Manifestation isn't a straight upward path. There will be bumps in the road, right? But vulnerability means embracing those setbacks not as failures, but as feedback. Every time something doesn't go the way you expect, it's an opportunity to recalibrate, to learn, and to grow. The fear of failure can often make us play small. We hesitate to take risks because we want to avoid mistakes. But this whole process of manifestation and being authentic and being vulnerable asks you to see those setbacks as part of the journey. So when you're willing to be authentic, when you're willing to be vulnerable, when you're willing to be open to the unknown, you accept that things may not always go as planned, and that's okay. Okay? And here's an actionable tip for you. The next time you experience a setback, instead of getting discouraged, ask yourself, what is this teaching me? How can I use this to get even closer to what I really want? Write down the lessons and use them to fuel your next steps. Okay, step number 5. Make vulnerability and authenticity a daily practice. Finally, being authentic, being vulnerable, manifesting things isn't a one-time thing. It's a practice. The more you practice, the easier it becomes. Again, you don't have to take huge leaps every day, but small acts of vulnerability, whether it's asking for help, sharing your truth, or letting go of control, build momentum over time. One simple way to build this into your manifestation practice is through journaling. And so I try to do it, but I'm not really good at journaling every day. But if it works for you, you can always include this in your daily practice. So at the end of each day, reflect on these questions. Where did I show up vulnerably today? How did I feel when I took that step? Where can I be more open or authentic tomorrow? This kind of reflection keeps you in tune with how vulnerability is showing up in your life and helps you stay aligned with your authentic self. Okay? Awesome. I feel so good after sharing all of this information with you. I hope you enjoyed it. And that being said, we are coming to the end of the episode. We are wrapping it all up. And as we come to the end of today's episode, I want you to take this with you. Vulnerability isn't a weakness. It's your greatest strength when it comes to manifesting your dreams. By being open, authentic, and willing to take risks, you align yourself with the energy that makes manifestation possible. As I've said 100 times during this episode. So this week, I challenge you to embrace vulnerability and authenticity in your own manifestation journey. Whether it's admitting what you truly want, speaking your dreams out loud, or letting go of the need to control, take one small step toward being more aligned. You might be surprised by what happens next. Okay? Awesome. So if you found value in today's episode, I would love to hear from you. Share your thoughts or experiences by leaving a comment or reaching out on social media. And if this episode resonated with you, please subscribe and share it with someone who could benefit from this message. Subscribe and whatever you can do. Remember, your dreams are worth showing up for, fully and vulnerably. Thank you for listening, and as always, keep leading with purpose and passion. Until next time.